Facebook and YouTube Live. Thank you so much for joining us and for keeping us company this far. And I hope that you've been enjoying the chats and the conversations that we've had so far. And today we're going to take a break, just a little break, and talk about something else. But I know that you'll be highly interested in this one as well. And so today we have another guest. Hey, man, we keep representing, we keep bringing guests every day, man. But yes, we have another guest. He's going to be introducing his name, and I am Millicent Wanjiru. Karibu sana.
Asante sana Mili. So what do you want me to say? My name only?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go like that. I'm called Hagai, and you should be careful with how you say Hagai, because it's one word. Otherwise, otherwise you're going to abuse man of God. But it's a pleasure to be here. Finally, nimekuwa nikisema when will I be on TV? But the Lord has answered me.
You made it.
Mama, I have made it.
Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. We are glad to have you. You're in the hot seat today.
I'm in the hot seat.
Yes. It keeps getting hotter and hotter.
Na utanipatia maji ya guest.
Forgive us. Forgiveness.
Forgive me because of my voice here. Ni homa tu si corona, but we'll do this.
We'll do this.
We'll do this.
And like I mentioned, we've been having a series on intimate relationships in the church, and also for people who are dating. How far should this intimacy be taken?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And what is your take on that?
You guys are still talking about how far is too far.
Yes.
That is the eternal question. Well, I'm not an expert in this, but this is what I will say. If, for example, there's a friend of mine named Ernest Wamboi, he uses a very good example. As he say, there's a poison called cyanide, okay? And that poison is even like a few grams, it can kill you. So if I took that cyanide and put it in a bottle, a 1 liter bottle of water, and I told you to drink it, would you drink it?
No.
If I took it and put it in a 5,000 liter jar, will you drink it?
No.
Why?
Because
the chances of being poisoned.
yeah.
And that's the thing about sexual sins, is that inazanga iko pole pole. And why should you play with fire? So in the first place, don't put yourself in a position where you might fail. That's why the Bible says, flee. I had a friend of mine before he really understood his Christian walk. Alikuwa analeta dem kwa hao, alafu anaambia Mungu, I'm giving you 30 minutes. If you don't want me to sleep with this lady, wacha mtu kuja knock hiyo mlango. So anapiga story akicheki time. Ikipita 30 minutes anasema God, I'm giving you 5 more minutes. But why should you enter yourself into temptation? It starts with the keys, you're holding someone else's body part, and your body part is reacting, and then one thing leads to another one. And so don't start.
Don't start. Don't go there.
Don't go there in the first place.
I would not recommend.
Yes, you'll be a victim. Some of us we made mistakes. I will say that because we were foolish in believing that we have the strength to be able to sustain ourselves. Yeah. And so that's a story for another day. I will not recommend in the first place. Just flee.
All right. Wise words from a wise man. Would not recommend. So flee away from that.
Kabisa.
Kabisa.
Kama Joseph.
No, siangalie nyuma.
Hapana. Hata akibaki na koti yako, wacha baki na hiyo. You go.
This will be an interesting conversation, I'm telling you. And today we are going to talk on Christian lifestyle.
Okay.
And we will dwell more on some of the things that are talked about in the Bible, but also there's some gray areas because rarely do you hear these things. Like pastor amekuja na someone and says, today we are going to talk about tattooing.
Okay.
Why should you or why should you not do it? And body piercing and all these other things. They rarely talk about it, right? But Sasa, like I said, you're in the hot seat. You're in the hot seat.
Where? Okay, yes. So what do you want to know?
What are some of these gray areas? I will start with this. Do you think, as a man of God who has read the Bible is getting a tattoo wrong? Is it a sin?
So, that's a very tricky question. But this is how I'll answer it in two ways. Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay.
So usually when people quote, people quote Leviticus. I think at least Leviticus 19:28, and God is telling the children of Israel that they should not tattoo themselves or do the markings. It has a historical background. The reason why he was telling them that, because alikuwa amewatoa in Egypt, waleta in a new land, he was planning to put them in a new land. Those Egyptians used to tattoo themselves in worship of their gods, and especially according to historical or archaeologists, is that it's women who only tattoo, and they used to tattoo their reproductive systems. So their breasts, their thighs. So this was just to honor and make sure that reproductive, like you had a reproductive fertility, because children used to die. So it was out of our worship. Also, the Canaanites used to tattoo themselves in worship of their gods. Now, the reason why God was telling them not to tattoo, it was because he was talking about this particular thing, that in tattooing yourself, what are you worshiping? What are you idolizing? And so the problem really is not in the tattoo itself. There are two things or three things that I would say. One, what is your motive? Why do you need this tattoo? Unataka hii tattoo for what purpose? Is it to accentuate yourself? Uko na mazigwembe ama iko kunaitwa ngaje biceps, so you want to kuchora kakitu hapo, ndo mtu akipita hivi the first thing anaona you're drawing yourself, your attention to the tattoo. And so in 1 Corinthians 10:31 we're told that in whatever you do, in all and everything that you do, you should do it for the glory of God. So are you getting that tattoo to glorify God? I know of an old mzee who had a tattoo here, upper, and it was a very interesting tattoo. And I asked him, why do you have this tattoo? And it was like, it is sort of like a representation of the Trinity. And he said that usually when he meets people, they are very curious of the tattoo, and that is how he gets to evangelize to people. When someone asks them, what is that tattoo about? He's like, let me tell you about this tattoo. It means blah, 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 blah. And I know of another person who had struggled with anorexia and struggled with issues of their body, and so they tattooed a line after recovery of how it is. And so when he meets people and they ask him what the tattoo is about, he shares of how God has redeemed him from. So what is the motive of the tattoo? That should be because God hiyo check hati yako. Kama unafanya hivyo, I mean, kwa nini udraw tattoo ya butterfly huku nyuma hapa chini? Who is seeing this butterfly hapa chini? So that's ni nani nataka aone hiyo tattoo? And you know, kama uko na tattoo ya butterfly hapa chini, utatafuta nguo zote zenye zina exactly ndio mtu aone maneno. But where are you directing your people? Are they usually madem nasemanga my face is here? But sasa kama kwa tattoo huku chini, mimi nitakuwa naangalia kwa uso. Alafu. So what is really deep? What is your motive? And then the second thing is that you should always remember that your body is the temple of God. So whatever you do with your body, you should do it in a way suggesting that you recognize it as a temple of God. You're not going to draw, devilish tattoos. Utaenda church upate wamechora Yesu ameinamia devil, or utaenda church upate wamechora gun, Rambo, Commando, church worldwide. How is that related? So treat your body as the enemy of God, the temple of God. Yeah. So to answer your question, no. As long as you know that you're doing it for the glory of God, there's no problem with tattoo. I have a brother who has a tattoo, and I'm siko okay with it, but I've come to understand this because they can Bible verse na nini. Then yes, it is a sin if you're doing it for wrong motive and for wrong reasons. But you should know one thing: tattoos are addictive. You just don't get one tattoo. Yes, you don't get one tattoo. Like the brother of mine, he'll kill me. He started with one tattoo, now he has 3 and counting. So tattoo is very, very, very addictive. You can never run out of things to write about your stuff. Alafu sasa imagine you're dating someone, alafu unaandika hapa may he loves you. Alafu am I right? Is there an end in your life? So and then you don't get a text kishaka nakwambia, you know, this thing has not been working. So then what do you do with that?
What do you do with them?
You go look for another you.
Or do you try to wait? There's a lot that goes into the thought that goes into that tattoo is what matters.
Yes, yes. I will say is that just do everything for the glory of God. If you know deeply and down, and your conscience will tell you, like this tattoo, I'm not doing this tattoo for the glory of God. For sure. Hapa kuna nataka ku point people to a particular thing. I'm trying to say something about myself, and if it's not for the glory of God, then don't do it. And then there's another one that Paul anasema that if you eating meat will make another brother or sister to fall, then don't do it. So let it be. Let your tattoo be for the glory. If it is for the glory and honor of God. Me, I don't have tattoo personally because I know how addictive it can be. But otherwise, I would get. But the thing is that, is it for the glory of God? If it is not, our main work is to glorify God and to spread the gospel of God. Like for that, Mzee, I really loved what he told me. That people ask usually about the tattoo, and for most of the time, he ends up sharing the gospel because of it.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
I don't know if I've answered.
You have answered that. Does the same go with body piercing? Because people have been very creative on where they get pierced. Very creative. Tulikuwa na the normal one, the very traditional one, the earlobes. We moved to the eyebrow, to the nose, to the tongue, to the septum, and all that.
And all that. And to other places we can't mention in a Christian podcast. Well, on body piercing, I can't speak on authority, but there's part of modesty in Christianity. There's a part of even and usually this is a controversial verse. I don't know if it is in Timothy where I believe it's in Timothy where Paul tells Timothy that women should adorn their hair and walk in humility. And there are many ways that you can interpret that verse, but the most important part is that we are called to walk in modesty, to behave in modesty. And as I have said, everything that we do, it should be for the glory of God. And so if you are, if for those people, there are people who are called temple prostitutes those times, they used to adore very beautiful, they used to do braid hairs, like you lakini mbaya sana zaidi. They used to have these elaborate chains and nini. And so Paul was trying to say there should be a difference between a person who goes to church and a person who practices temple prostitution. And so the thing is that let there be modesty in what you do. There's no problem of having earrings and piercing. There's no problem of piercing whatever part of your body you want to do it, but let there be modesty. Even for those weird places, if you're doing it out of intimacy for your as a husband and a wife, then there's no. But if you're doing it for other weird reasons that are not of glory to God, then don't do it. In simple terms, ukiona mahali unajiuliza if this is right or wrong, most chances you're playing a balance. You can't play balance with the devil. So just and Bible is very clear. how can a young man, Psalms 119 verse 9, it's very simple. By doing what? By hiding the word of God. Soma bwana.
Soma Biblia.
Achana fata vile nani alisema inaitwa nani mwenye sikiza kwa control. Juliani, siku hizi nataka pages za Bible. Wacha kudara hizo vitu zingine, dara Bible.
Well, interesting. You will love this one. Also, just there are people. I personally have a friend who has gone through a lot in life, and I thank God that she found Christ. But before she found Christ, she, you know, like how you go through a traumatic experience and you're trying to look for what is it called, coping mechanisms. And so when they start pain, she will go get a new piercing, go get a new tattoo. Every single time something may happen, she gets depressed, attend a tattoo. And so that pain, because she can speak about it and it translates to the pain, and I feel like that tattoo. What would you say about that?
Yeah, of course, now and that's what I was saying. It's obvious it's a psychological issue, and that is how she is treating. She was treating her, you know, her problems by doing piercing or by doing tattooing. And a good example that I'll give in the Bible is when Jesus meets the woman at the well. And we see that the woman at the well, she had tried so many times to find love, but by the time she was meeting Jesus, she was on husband number 5. And for all of them, there was no love. And so Jesus, even the husband that you have right now is not even your husband. And what was Jesus was trying to drive or saying is that you're trying to find what I can give you in other means. And that is the problem with people nowadays. We are trying to find what we can get from God in other means. Because God is the one who says that he wants to trade our sorrows, that his yoke is lighter than ours. And so if we run to him, he's able to heal us and to walk with us. And so you see, for her it was a coping mechanism. And for people it's different things. So it might be piercing. For some people it might be some sort of addiction. Maybe it is alcohol, maybe it is nini. If you find that anything else has become a way of coping with your problems, apart from God, then you know you are heading somewhere, and it is a sin. Because essentially sin is trying to put something else to be God. And God needs to be just the center of everything. I don't know if I've answered Ms. Mason's.
Yeah, you get it. You
Yes.
get it.
If you don't
get it, forget about it.
Forget about it. Hata hapo chini tuambie msema anaambia vitu esoteric sielewi. But yeah, we should our coping mechanism ni important, ni kujua what is, and usually that is where your addiction comes in. Unapata watu addiction yake sasa, coping mechanism yake maybe ni pornography. Coping mechanism yake ni tattooing. Ama msee when unimportant things happen in their life, anaenda anajieka tattoo. Kama maybe getting a new boyfriend, like a new girlfriend, like a tattoo hapa hivi mzee. Unapata at the end of the day unakaa tu mstu. Kuna majina za watu tu kwa mwili.
Caroline.
Caroline. Dennis, not as I'm getting a plaque here. The people who we lost during the war. I'm in a car register ya shule.
I was here.
Exactly. I was here. Unaka Milkan.
And moving on, there's a negative connotation that comes with tattoos and body piercing. I'm just generalizing both of them because it is that. Let me tell you a story. So, and I have wanted to get a nose piercing. Not like this one, but this one that looks really pretty. And even though I am a fit girl, I must ask my mom.
Very important.
Very important. And I remember calling her. I texted her on WhatsApp. Nikamwambia mom, nadunga mapua. She didn't answer. She called me. Kambia Tinino and to me, and so she was like, if you get it, after mama.
Aliona text, you can text. Kuna wait. There is no wait.
Yeah.
Wacha nikwambie.
But she said something about people lose respect for you when you have that. Like mtu akikuona you have a piercing on your eyebrow, they suddenly they automatically go somewhere else because iko na pahali imewekwa. So do you think that negative connotation comes from what we've been taught from the church?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I would say yes. There are people who take sometimes literally what the Bible says, and that's a good thing. Yeah. But also there needs to be like how I've explained to you about the origin of why God told the Jewish not to have tattoos. There's a historical and cultural background to it, and even for us Africans, we are living in a culture, and there's a view that we have for people like Ernest. And I mean, it started with dreads. Right now, we have pastors who have dreads. If a pastor who was preaching in 1960 was to wake up from the grave, they'll be like, who should I be? It's not possible. So we have to recognize that we are living in a cultural settings, and that there are people who will not view us rightly or correctly. And so when you're taking the piercing, you should know that that is also a risk. And there are people who, just because of what the piercing that you have or the tattoo, they will not listen to you. It's the same way when you guys go to evangelism. There are places you will go and evangelize in trousers as a lady, but there are places you can't, they will not even, watakuita majina zingine hapo. Exactly. So when we are going somewhere, or when we're having conversation with people, when we're doing life, cultural settings will always affect us. And so when you're taking that tattoo, you should put, and that's why I use the word modesty. You should put the factor in. You should factor in that when you're having that piercing or when you're having that tattoo, there are people who will judge you. And so if you're okay with that, and because I'm saying if you're okay with that, is that if you have dealt with God, if you have dealt with your consciousness and you know that I'm doing this for the glory of God, and you're confident in that, it doesn't really matter what other people say. But if in the of hearts, ukifeel criticism like then you also need to deal with your consciousness. And some things that you can't undo, like tattoo, you can't undo unless you can use laser or you turn it around. But kama umechora kitu fulani, unabidi ushone temple ya Mungu juu yake. Kama lita na maua. Exactly. Unaona msema sana anakaa respect amechora kwa kila mahali, kumbe ni majina za watu ameficha ama ni weird things that alikuwa ameandika hapo. So that's just accept that kuna cultural settings na vitu zitachange as we go. Kama sasa hivi we've accepted that it's okay for you to be a man and have dreadlocks. Okay? And so maybe in future we will be able to do that. But in all that you do, modesty is important for Christians. It is very important.
Very important. Mom, please.
Your mom. Wewe deal na Mungu kwanza, alafu wewe deal na mamako baadaye. This has nothing to do with mom. Mama anafikiria from her cultural point of view. Anaona kuna akikuintroduce kama mtoto wako kwa mama wengine au mama watasema msema imeharibika na mwili Nairobi. Kutoka anapenda. Kwanza anafanya bado umeokoka. So so we are living in that setting.
Also, something else that I want us to talk about as young Christians who are growing in Christ with a lot of temptations in the world. What is your take on going out for parties that are not necessarily Christian?
So if your questions are hard, wow. Hey. I see now the reason why we have a disclaimer because I see. So when you say that Christian parties, what do you mean? Because you see, Jamhuri Day is a non-Christian party.
Oh, okay.
There's so many Christian parties that we go to or we celebrate.
Yeah. This is my question. My friend invites me to end 1824. I'm
1824.
And I go. But mimi naenda kuchafua meza na Del Monte.
Unasema rivers of Del Monte. They shall flow. Hallelujah. Katikati ya walevi.
Katikati ya walevi. The den of lions. How wrong? What is your take on that?
Okay, so we all know it is important. The crowd you keep, and let me quote what people usually say, that you are an average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Yeah. And so, and going back to that thing of run and flee, don't put yourself in tempting situations. I know for some people, like for me, there was a time I was working in a law firm, and kulikuwa na wakati yenye bosi anaamua that to celebrate a particular person, we are going to this club. And unajua kama sasa hiyo ukisema utaki kwenda team morale kuna vile inaenda chini. And I will drink Del Monte and stuff like that. But the problem is that you're putting yourself in a very hard situation. Wewe umekaa pale manze unakula tu Del Monte yako. Hata shida sana si unalewa. Lakini uchiki pale kwa kona wase wanagrindiana mbaya. Unacheki wase wanashikana hapo unaona hivyo unatoka pale ukisema umeiweza roho yangu. Yesu unatoka pale kama unasifu Yesu. Unatoka pale ukisema hiyo gani naweza? Nini mimi kwani ndio maana unasema Kristo yaenda raha haina nini, because you're putting yourself in those tempting situations. I would say just avoid in the first place. Avoid putting yourself in tempting situations. And sometimes unazaenda huko kwenye Del Monte yako, then msia spice ama yake kitu kwa drink yako, stuff like that. So try and avoid such kind of parties, or let your friends know beforehand that this is my stand. Mimi, and I know inakonga utasound cool, wanasema wewe ni party pooper and nini, but just be straightforward with your friends. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do this, and if I'm going to do this, you should know, and no one should force me to do this. But in the first place, there's a summer too, usijieke kwa hizo situation. Unatoka pale kwa club, wase asubuhi wanachotana, besa yako ametoka na nani, wewe unatoka pale ati sijui unaenda asubuhi na praise and worship. Hata ukipiga praise and worship, hata unashangaa sasa wale walienda nyumbani wanafanya nini sasa?
And then there's me.
Na mimi niko hapa. Na unajua vijana mkiwa club, demo ya club, anything can happen. It's a free for all environment. So I would say just avoid in the first place. And sometimes you find yourself umejipata kwa party na huko unajua economy, just be clear. And any chances of something going wrong in a place where there's alcoholism and the drugs and anything high, then kila upata watu ni matito tena tunakuja. So how have you been of lately? British, my dear brothers and sisters, what was swear? Chakuma meza na Fanta hapo watu utambue. Black currant, exactly. Sema leo leo kuna idea, this is the body of Christ. Na mkate. Drink in unafanya watu ambao walichagua hapo baada. Drink this in remembrance of me. Finya super love moja kufinyana huko.
And while still on that conversation, in parties, of course, in a club, there's the music.
Really, you're bringing music. You're bringing music to this conversation. My sister.
That's why I said he will be back. He will be back for a deeper conversation.
People want me to be fired.
You will not. You're standing with the Lord. But I will not go very deep into it. But there's Christians, you know that this song is sung by a secular artist. But you're like, but the message is not that bad. It's about love.
You know, love.
You know it's wrong, but you're like, but it's the message.
It is the message.
They're just talking about how I love this person and how this person loves me, period. Yes.
So, you're asking if it's okay to listen to secular music. That is basically the question. Is the same tattoo? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm getting this from Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, admirable, and excellent, and praiseworthy, then think of these things. And so essentially, we can drill everything that we do into this one verse. The music and music has power, by the way. Yeah. Music has power, and that's the reason why we sing national anthem. That's why soldiers, when they're training, they sing together.
Yeah.
That's why when there are rituals, people sing. And when you listen to music, the music, young people nowadays, it slaps different. Hiyo music unaisikianga tu, but imekupata kwa situation fulani, kuna vile tu inakupiga. Kwanza hiyo time ya heartbreak hiyo. Hiyo bombo liko unasikia lakini unasikia unaanza kulia, unabubujika. So songs have power. Yeah. You should not in any way say that songs have no power, because usually somehow they're communicating things sublime, like your nini can pick some messages in between. And that's why when Nagata dictators, they actually ban some songs that are critical of them. If song was not important, kama Mobutu Sese Seko, aliban song and it was against him. Ukiangalia Russia and China, wakati ya Mao Zedong or something, he banned songs. Even Stalin banned songs. Songs have power. So that is the first thing you need to know, that songs have power. The second thing that you need to know is that songs and everything that we do should be for the glory of God. And I've said that. So, is this song helping you to? Is it pure? Is it right? Is it? So that is the part, that you should be careful when you sing the song. But the third one is that there are actually songs that do not mention God, but they aid, or they have what I would say, they have the importance, is what I'm looking for, but they have the importance in life. Okay? So come a national anthem, I yet to actually honor God. But okay, sing national anthem in some other countries, there's no mention of God itself. But does not mean that because you're singing it, you're in a secular song. There are some musicians who sing contemporary music that are music, but they enhance Christian values. They enhance Christian values. So unasikia mtu akiimba anaongelea kuhusu the importance of marriage, anaongelea kuhusu the importance of purity, na ukiangalia kama Sauti Sol aliimba ile wimbo ya Nerea, unajua they were actually talking about the sanctity of life. So unapata in that song kuna message ya Christianity, although there is no mention of God. And so I will say it depends really in terms of what kind of songs are you going for. Okay, so if because unasikia some songs we used to sing to R. Kelly, nilikuwa fan wa R&B mbaya sana, kina Boyz II Men na nini, but you hear the songs and you know for sure they're not calling for enhancement of marriage, or they don't represent Christian values. Na unaziimba tu, kwanza kama alikuwa tunazimbaga tu tujui, but unataka kusikiza bado like mzee hii matusi. What was I singing? What? And then you realize later, R. Kelly was living out the life that he was singing, that you are taking advantage of younger girls and stuff like that. And so you should understand and you should know that whatever you're listening and whatever you do, it should be noble, it should be pure, it should be praiseworthy, it should be admirable. Can you go and tell your mom that I sleep with everybody? Like I can have another in a minute. Unasikia tumeshika watu ambao wanasikizanga huyo mdada. Najua kuna mafanzi wake hapa nikisema jina yake watu watanilima mabao yako baya sana. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying if what she's singing is your stand and that you can have any man that you want any other minute, then you know this is not Christian values. So you should be very careful the types of songs that you listen to. It is just safe if you decide I will listen to Christian songs. But anyway, you might find yourself that they are actually good non-Christian songs that as long as they enhance the values of God, as long as they are praiseworthy and they are commendable, I would say listen to them.
Alright. There we have that. It has been an interesting conversation. But last but not least. So a young person like me, but hypothetically I am a man who is just done with university or rather that stage and so wanting to get into the job market, have some cash for himself. And I know the society is very hard on men, and so you try to make it yes. And you find out here kuna Betika, kuna what are they called?
Sport Pesa.
Zimeja, and they give you this very big dream. Wekelea 50 bob, parties dream nini. And so it's an easy way, but you have this, they've sold you like the dream that you want to accomplish. And I know it is wrong in the Bible, but please help us, because a lot of our young people, even ladies, are falling into gambling.
But even actually ladies, wasema tunakelea kichwa na jinsi yake kunywa maji. They even have their own lingua franca. The way of making wealth for the Bible is usually little by little, and that is how the Bible asks us to be able to create wealth. And we see that in Proverbs 31 when it talks about the virtuous woman. When I say she is investing in 7 ventures. As in, them are on a business ready. Ameweka huku ije mavitu ambayo anazauza. And so it is obvious that betting is affecting our society. We know that it has detrimental, because we all know how it works. You take money from 100 people and give it to one person, and so you find that all of them are a dream, so they keep on doing that over and over again and over again. I would say, if you want to make wealth, just take your time, wait. Better things happen if you're diligent, if you're hardworking, and if you're waiting on the Lord. Don't abandon, as in itakuja. The problem of getting money so fast, it is that in a creating hubris, unakuwa na so much pride. The reason why it is always important to go through struggles and problems is that in a reshape character. You realize that you can live without it, but you also realize that as much as unapitia all these things, inakufunza vitu kama hope. Unaona, inakufunza vitu kama human dignity, so that when you're on top here, utadharau hapo wengine. But imagine umetoka tu and then umekuja umepata a large sum of money, there's no character development. And that's why they usually say that for most people who win lottery, and it doesn't matter the amount, they usually end up getting more poor, or it affects their relationship completely, because money and character they go hand in hand. So kwa tumpole, there's a reason why they say life begins at 40. And there's a person who explained to me in Kaila, life begins at 40 because wanasemanga chances are for between when you finish high school and when you are 40, that's like around usually people wanasema kiwa 20, sindio? It's around 20 years. Wanasema for these 20 years, the kind of network you would have built, the kind of skills that you would have attained, the type of knowledge and information that you would have gathered, the level of wisdom that utakuwa umeweza attain by how life treats you, chances are you're going to make your first million at 40. There are people who make their first million very early, but most people make money or they create an impact vizuri when you're at that age. So usikue na haraka. Unasema besa yako anafanya kitu alafu unataka, because shida yetu ni hiyo tamaa. Nifanye hivi pia nataka nifanye. People are doing things huko nje to get that money. That ukiambia pia ufanye utafanya. So I would say let us be patient. And I understand that hata kama unafanya pressure, unakutana na besa zako wote wanaangalia kuhusu magari. Wewe tu gari unajua tu matatu. Watu wanasema usibudo libebe ni mswapo. Wakati unaangalia kuhusu rim, unasikia sijui carburetor, unasikia sijui acceleration yako ni from 0 to unasikia wakilia pale masori wewe mazao umekula jua. Unajua ile sound ya kwa mimi na ile ni kama crickets. Wewe unasikiza hata driving hujaenda, you don't understand anything. But even for them I can see their life kuna process. Kuna process and God I'm going to take through, and me it's for me to recognize that kuna process I'm going to take through. And if I had to drive, some of us mzaliwa get. Mimi pesa yangu ya kwanza nilipata hivi, salary yangu ya kwanza guess nilinunua nini? Nikanunua TV kubwa. Nalala chini lakini TV. Si jalo. Chali kwambie. Si jalo. Niligrab kibera na sisi tulikuwa kwa boma in all place, sisi tulikuwa na TV. Tumekuwa wakubwa but manzeki tuko tu na ka great wall pale kana tusumbua. So sometimes una watch vitu but kuna ka enjoyment. Kala saidia sana. Ka great wall hapo unatafuta KBC na na bistani kwa hiyo anafinya tu. Ana move. Nile kama TV big. But then baadaye uko like sasa sina sufuria, sina. It's very stupid.
Ile tumoja unaanza nayo chai.
I wanted to prove to other people banali. I wanted to have that TV, but in process, hata sisi iko kwa nyumba lakini hata sionangi. In fact, my mom took it away. But what I'm trying to say is that trust the process. Trust the process. It might be painful right now. It might be that you have to you listen to people's stories. Even these guys who have made money and who have been successful, you can see that if they trusted the process. But the problem of getting money early is that there's no character development. And if there's no character development, then you're going to fail. Fail vibaya sana. Unajua kama una character development unaweza fulfill hizo fantasies. Kama mimi unapata pesa hivi unataka kununua TV. Unapata pesa hivi unasema mademo alikuwa mgedharau. Sasa nitawarua mbaya sana. Watajua mimi ni nani. Napiga luku juu chini. Maguchi manini nini. You sleep with everyone nini. But we know unakunywa hizo ma drinks kubwa nasikia moja sijui ni 20,000. You destroy yourself while the money is there. But you see people who have created money over time, there's that character development, and one of them is self-control. Yes, I can buy drinks. Yes, I can buy Gucci. But I know I've learned self-control. The first time being this Alikam Kenya was all ameshuka ndege watu sana kutafuta kwa wapi. Jamaa alishuka na shati na kaki. I mean, character development. It is usually very important.
Good things take time.
Good things take time, man. In all everything.
Yes, and I think you can even see what when they win like all these millions. Later on, hawako. Yeah. Usually, it is very rare to find a people in the lottery na imemsaidia. It is usually very hard
because akunanga hiyo character development. It is very important for us as young people to remember that like hiyo process ya grow pamoja, grow pole pole na msee ni important. Na hata hiyo ndio kuhusu pia relationships. I mean it's good to want a good life. But sisi kijana mzuri hapa, madem mzuri hapa, because unaona hana degree ama unaona hana nini. If someone is really hardworking, if someone really loves God, if someone una good values, you see good character in them, I will say that for that person, rather than msee mwenye akona do sahi ama for your own happiness or for your own goodness.
Well, we have come to the end of today's conversation. I know this one you love. And we will have him again and again and again as God wishes. But Aki, asante.
Pleasure has been mine.
Thank you so much.
And I'm glad to come again, but so that next time it will be a questions mapema. Nisi muddle through the but it has been good.
Can you imagine I ambushed him today with the questions you cannot tell. This one came, I think it's the spirit.
Naonjanga tu Yesu peke yake. Hallelujah, shake it till you mat. Okay. I preach, Really don't get me started. Don't get me started. But anyway, it was good. We enjoy Sana. And when you have an opportunity, actually, I'll come.
Thank you so much. That has been us. Thank you. Have a good weekend and God bless you. We are the Foxfires and we have Mr. Hagai. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.